Good morning, Edmund. I'm just checking if my sound is okay. It's Honorable Niao speaking.
Good morning, Mr. Niehaus. Yes, you are audible.
Thanks, Amanda. Take care. Thanks.
Hello all. This is the Armscor boardroom. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Honorable Chair.
Good morning,
Morning. Morning, Honourable
members.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Are we all present here today?
Recording in
Honorable
progress.
members?
We can hear you, Chair.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Let me first start by acknowledging the presence of the SecDef, the presence of the Adjutant General, the presence of Armscor, the presence of Denel, the presence of our parliamentary staff, the presence of all honorable members who are present today in this platform. I'm sure today we'll have a short meeting because we don't deal with a lot of content. We deal with update and progress as far as the work that we have assigned to the department. And today we're getting feedback. So today is more of a feedback session than a normal brainstorming portfolio committee meeting. But let me allow the Secretariat to share the agenda. Secretariat, can you share the agenda for apologies and adoption? Amanda? Good morning, honorable members, once again. There is the agenda before us.
Chair, it was the wrong agenda.
Whoa. Oh, I requested last meeting that Secretariat can we reduce the number of technical glitches because this is a parliamentary sitting. Any misleading can lead to a formal charge. Nevertheless, honorable members, whilst we are waiting for the agenda to be shared, I thought it's important that we observe the period we're in. And as the portfolio committee, that when we rise also we put our voice on the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide in our society, including the general problem of murder and killings. We are a society where 75 people die every day without a civil war. And I'm sure as this portfolio committee that is responsible for defending territories and sovereignty, it must be of concern to us. Secondly, I thought when we rise today, there must be a proper congratulation to the Proteas for beating India. They just finished about 30 minutes ago, having beaten the People's Republic of India. There is the agenda before us, the first item, opening and welcome, which has been done. The second item, it's apologies. The third item would be progress, a report on legislation, drafting, the Constitutional Court outcome. I would immediately request that after that item, we allow our content advisors to come in terms of guiding the portfolio committee on the process of parliament so that we assist the department to comply with the court order, because we are the authority in the value chain that deals with lawmaking. So the department has done the progress. So we have to do the outstanding part of the way forward. Then number 4 will be a detailed briefing by the DOD on Denel and Armscor. On the state of Project Hoefyster. Members would recall that in our last site visit, we dealt with this program. Can we get to the adoption of the agenda?
I move that we adopt it, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Niehaus. Is there any seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nontenja. We'll then move to the Secretariat to update us on the apologies that we have received. Over to you, Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair. We've received an apology from the Honorable Minister Njimucheka, who will be hosting the Iraq delegation in the Northern Cape at Luwatla for the Chief Army Distinguished Visitors Day event. We've also received an apology from Honorable Hala, Honorable Mbata, and Honorable Sokanyile. And the Honorable Deputy Minister will be leaving the meeting after the first quarter due to another commitment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me hand over to the Honorable Deputy Minister as the lead of the delegation from the side of the executive to introduce his delegation in terms of the agenda items. The first one would be the one that deals with the Concord. Immediately after the presentation by Adjutant General, we will then move to our content advisors to advise the Portfolio Committee on the way forward related to parliamentary processes, hearings, gazetting, and everything. We must know what needs to happen in the whole value chain. I'll now hand over to the Honorable DM. It's Honorable DM who? Hello? Secretariat?
Honorable Olomisa, Chair.
Oh.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for arriving late. I was in the cabinet committee. I've just finished there. My apologies.
Okay, no problem, Honorable DM. I would allow you to proceed nevertheless because we want progress. We don't work on egos. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. We are, as well as honorable members and the officials from Armscor, Denel, and Department of Defense. Firstly, I wish to apologize on behalf of the Minister. She is, I think, committed elsewhere, in particular in Luwatla, if I'm not mistaken, on an annual military exercise. Secondly, we are here to brief you about the APC equipment, which was supposed to have been completed many years ago, that Hoefyster. So without any delay, I wish to hand over to the presenter. Thank you.
General, we will start with you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, allow me to greet you, the chairperson of the PCD and military veterans, members of the PCD and military veterans, our Deputy Minister, Honorable Olomisa, SecDef Mem, and my colleagues. With me, Chair, is Advocate Ramcharan and Lieutenant Colonel Mashiho, and Lieutenant Colonel Malisa. Chair, it is an honor for the Department of Defense, especially me as an Adjutant General, to appear before you today after we have been tasked to do certain things by the Department of Defense and your good self, sir, that today we're coming back and give you feedback. And I hope this feedback, Chair, will show that when we are being tasked or when other people are tasked, people can definitely do their job, especially if they are being supported by offices like yours, as you've done. Next slide. Sir, my aim is to brief the PCD and military veterans on the progress made, as well as the proposed timelines to further processing the legislation to comply with the O'Brien constitutional order. Chair, Honorable Chair, if you allow me, because the story, everything is known, I'll go straight to the slide 6, which deals with the progress or the timeline that was presented to you, and I think that is your interest. Sir, from serial number 1 up until serial number 9, you are aware of that. Now I will go to the next
Apologies,
slide.
Honorable Chair, I'm interrupting. I don't really want to do so, but I don't see the slide presentation keeping up with the presentation that is verbally given to us. Can we just ask that the two are properly coordinated so that we know where we are? Thank you.
No problem, Honorable Niels. Point noted. I would request Adjutant General that we follow that sequence. As you present, can your slides also move? Because we are only seeing 10.
Chair, I seek your permission to present slide number 5 and 6. If you don't, if the go back to slide number 6, don't move up until then. I seek your permission to present slide number 5 and 6, which is the timelines.
No problem, Adjutant. Permission granted.
Thank you. Then go to slide number 5, Papa. Chair, that is slide number 5, and everything is slide number 5 is there. You'll see serial number 9 that we presented to the Cabinet, JPS Cabinet Committee on the 9th of October 2025, meaning Cabinet has definitely now given us permission to approach Parliament. Go to slide number 6. Now, Chair, we see that on the 20th of November 2025, the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans wrote a letter to the chairperson of the NCOP and to the National Assembly, introducing the two bills. And then the Military Discipline Supplementary Measures Bill is granted 31 of 2025, and the Defense Amendment Bill is 32 of 2025. And the introduction also, Honorable Chair, was also gazetted. Now, sir, it is on the parliamentary side now, meaning we have complied with the instruction of the Minister of Defense and the PCD that we must table these things at least before December to allow the parliamentary process to follow. So we have complied with that instruction, Honorable Chair. Next slide. Go to the slide, man. So, Chair, before I keep quiet and hand over to back to you, sir, allow me to be out of the protocol to thank the PCD for giving us for their understanding and giving us the opportunity to do the job. It was not easy because we were running out of time, but you understood and you gave us the opportunity to do the executive bill. Also, sir, allow me to thank the Minister of Defense and the Deputy Ministers, also to guiding us, the Secretary for Defense, and more importantly, Oxla and the Parliamentary Legal Office, because without those two offices, we wouldn't be where we are. The professional assistance that they gave us and their understanding is definitely appreciated, sir. I would definitely put my pen down, sir. That is in the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. I think from our side as the portfolio committee also, we have to appreciate the efforts you have put. And thank you for having done the job before the deadline. Our deadline as the portfolio committee was the 15th of December. I was looking at my notes now. But, so far it's there that it's even completed before December. It shows the hard work and the efforts that we've placed on ensuring that we comply with the Constitutional Court order, that we are not in contempt of the court order. I'm happy that we have done your work. What is left is with us now, Parliament, in terms of lawmaking process for it eventually to be adopted as an act or an amendment to an act by the National Assembly. I would now hand over to our content advisors in Parliament, to the Portfolio Committee, to guide the Portfolio Committee in terms of the way forward. Let me hand over to you, Dr. Janse van Rensburg.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you very much, and good morning to all members and all guests present as well. Chair, as you mentioned, the submission from the department came well within the deadline, and this really assists Parliament in driving the process forward. Members will recall that yesterday Amanda also shared the two bills with members. So members, you do have the copies of the bills as they were tabled in Parliament. Just briefly on the way forward, we also have a colleague from Legal Services in the meeting, should there be any further questions. But briefly on the way forward, the next step would be for these bills to actually get referred to the committee. That has not taken place yet. It's been tabled, but it has not been actively referred to the committee, and that should take place shortly, hopefully this week still. And then it's officially within the committee's grasp. So what we suggest for the way forward is that as soon as the bills have been actively referred to the committee, we seek the consensus of the committee to start with the call for public submissions, and this requires some time for the public to be able to make their submissions. So the aim would be to let this get this off the ground as soon as possible, and let the call for submissions run, for example, till the end of January. And then when Parliament reconvenes in the next term in 2026, we will use our first meeting for this committee to have the introduction of the bill by the department, and then either the meeting after that or two meetings later, for example, 2 weeks later, to actually consider the public submissions made by the public, and giving the department an opportunity to also respond to those submissions. So that's the initial way forward, Chair. But for the purpose of this meeting, we just seek consensus from the committee, unless there's any opposition from any of the members, that as soon as the bill is referred to the committee, that we as staff can proceed with the process to request public submissions on the bill. So that's from my side, Chair. I don't know if I missed something. We do have the legal services in the meeting as well, but the main question for today is just consensus for the committee that we can start with the process of calling public submissions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I allow members to ask questions, can we get Parliamentary Legal Services to make an addition or bring a new clarity?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. It's Sean van Breda here from Legal Services. Mr. Jansen van Rensburg is indeed correct with regards to the process. We should be able to publish or to request the public to make comments as soon as the bill is referred to the committee. Chairperson, perhaps another issue to consider by the committee is the form of public comments to be made. So considering that the urgency of the two bills and also the fact that there won't be a very big audience and in respect of the two bills, that our recommendation would be for those submissions to be limited to written submissions. That would also then reduce the time with regards to the facilitating public participation. So that would be in line with the case law in respect of Parliament's facilitation of public participation, and also would be in line with the public participation model adopted by Parliament. So there are two things for the committee to consider: whether we should now call for public comments as soon as the bill is referred, and then let the public consider the bill over the festive period and up until perhaps the end of January, because usually we get a lot of complaints from the public if the period is limited only to the festive season, because the public will perhaps not take notice of any publications in the Government Gazette calling for comments. So to allow for that extra few weeks after the festive period, that would give the public sufficient time to consider the bills. So it's that issue, and also the form of public submissions, if it should be limited to written submissions from the public. So that is all from us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for clarity or clarity-seeking questions from members? I see the hand of Honorable Kalniaus is up. Any other hand? Okay, let me take Honorable Niaus before I come with the way forward.
Chairperson, do you take my hand?
Okay, Honorable Hartman, your hand is up also. You'll follow in that order.
That is also up, Chair. The only question for clarification that I have is whether the time period up to the end of January is adequate, and whether that falls within the prescribed regulations for bills. Otherwise, I think the proposals as having been made sound good to me. And I don't know if it's appropriate for me now, but I can comment that I think it would be appropriate to have written responses to this bill, and that we do not call necessarily for public direct responses, that the written responses should be adequate. But otherwise, it seems fine to me. I just want to make sure that the time frame up to the end of January is compliant with all the various regulations that we need to tick the boxes for. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Niaus. Honorable Hatte.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, yeah, we have the two bills here, and there's one line that runs through it that's coming also from the court case. The question is there sufficient independence of the appointments? It's still executive dominated, and that was exactly the reason why it was ordered that the act should be amended. I do not believe that the current versions go far enough to satisfy what the court requires. Obviously, we will come into the detail, into the nitty-gritty of that at a later stage, but I believe that is a weakness that existed in the Act before, and it's actually now perhaps the weakness slightly reduced, but it's still very much there, and it may actually then again fail when taken to the Constitutional Court. I don't believe both of them moves far away enough from the current situation where the independence made it flawed. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Plakis.
Chair, mine is what Honorable Nia's wife if ended on the issue of the time frames and the festive season, the movement over the festive season, and also our request then for submissions in between that time. I would have checked what will be safe time frames after January, because I hear the legal advisor say maybe a few weeks after January we give extension. What will be saved then after January? How many weeks can we still spare? And also, Chair, on the modus operandi on the written submissions, who is our target? Who's the people that we are targeting on the issue of the written submissions? If we know the target, then I will not have problems if it is only written submissions. That was my input, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Plakis. Honorable Shelembe.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, I think, Honorable Plakis has partly covered some more questions, but Chair, if we agree on the principle that no big audience is expected, I'm trying to find out what is the big audience and what is the small audience. How do you measure that? And because I can see now it goes further to say public comment, but trying to see now which audience we are referring to if we say no big audience is expected that to be reached out. When this bill is being considered. Just that, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Let me allow Parliamentary Legal Services and our content advisors to answer with the department, the Adjutant General, and advocate.
Thank you, Chairperson. May I proceed?
Yes, you can proceed. Permission granted.
Yes. As far as the time period which we are proposing, yes, that would indeed be sufficient, because most people would be returning back to work probably by the 15th of January. So that would mean there's another 2 weeks left in January. Usually we would the time period could measure anything from 2 weeks to from 15 days to 30 days. So it all depends on the importance of the particular bill, what impact it has on the public, the subject matter of the bill. So considering that these two are military bills, there would be not much public impact that this bill would have. So that is why we're proposing a shorter period while taking consideration the festive season. So the bill, the call for public comments will probably be in early December. So that would give you 30 days plus, that would approximately give you 60 days for the public to consider the bills and also to make submissions. But we must also remember that we do have a deadline, and that deadline is in December next year. So once the two bills are processed by the portfolio committee, that bill would then have to go to the select committee. So all those time factors need to be taken into consideration. Once Parliament passes the bill would then have to go to the presidency for the president's assent. So we just need to be sure that we are not going to be short of time, so that we make sure that the order is complied with, the Constitutional Court order. With regards to the content of the bill and the independence, the independence issue referred to with regards to those provisions, that is something we can deal with once the department has briefed the committee. And of course, if the committee is not satisfied with the contents of the provisions, and if we decide that those particular provisions are not consistent with the judgment, it's the committee's prerogative to propose amendments. So that is something we will assist the committee with in proposing amendments to the bill, to the two bills, to make sure that it aligns with the Constitutional Court order. Chairperson, I think that answers all of the questions. With regards to the audience, as I said, what we take into consideration is the subject matter of the bills, the impact it will have on the public, and also urgency. So these two bills are quite urgent because we need to comply with the Constitutional Court order, and the content of the two bills are limited to the confines of the Constitutional Court judgment. So that's why the two bills are quite short. But Chairperson, I think that answers the questions. So I will take any further questions for clarity if necessary. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Is there any addition from the team? Adjutant General Advocate Dr. van Rensburg, Chancellor van Rensburg.
Chair, just a quick point, yes, in terms of the processing of this, if the committee agrees that we, as soon as it's referred to the committee officially, if the committee agrees that we can start the call for public submissions, that is an administrative process in itself that we will run through the core business support division. And if there's any different feedback or any other issues flagged by the division in terms of the calling for public submissions, we will come back to the committee. We will try our best to do this in the next week, so that at next week's last meeting we can give the committee an update on the way forward, not on the way forward, on the feedback from core business support, and whether it's if there's any issues with the call for public submissions starting in December. But just so members are aware that this is an administrative process that will get further feedback from Parliament itself.
Thank you very much. I see the hand around the house.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think the inputs that we have received are very helpful. On the surface, it doesn't look to me as if it would be necessary to have any specialized or specific outreach, that the general procedure that Parliament follows for comments to bills would be adequate. But if there is, then I am happy to hear that Dr. Wilhelm Janse van Rensburg is saying that we will be informed accordingly. With regards to the content of the bill, Chair, the way I understood this morning's meeting, and that's why I've refrained from commenting on the detailed content of the bill, is that we're dealing here with process. So evidently, once the bill is referred to us and we're able to then have a meeting where we consider the content, which includes then, I would presume, also the concerns that the Honourable Hutton raised, and I have similar concerns, then we can deal with it at that point. So, Chair, I think my understanding was that today's meeting is simply about the process of how we are going to manage to get the bill through the whole parliamentary supply line up to the point where it meets the deadline as set by the Constitutional Court for the bill to be adopted. So I'm quite comfortable, Chair, that we have got that timeline and that the procedure is clear to us. As far as content is concerned, I will reserve whatever comments I have about content at the time when the bill is referred to the committee and we sit specifically to consider the content and also the responses that we've received from the public in the what seems to me is going to be written replies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I think we'll get a bite after the public submission. So, Adjutant, Doctor, and Legal Services, can we ensure that the administrative process kicks in as early as December and end of January for 60 days? We put the two bills in advert for public submissions so that the public can make submissions, written submissions. I'm sure through your process, it will be online, you'll create something where it can be easy for people to email or to do whatever communication method they would be applying in their submission, so that we don't only allow a pen and paper, we also allow and appreciate technology. So I think that gives us a way forward. So if we can just meet the deadlines of the Concord, because if the committee is in contempt of the court order, then we are liable for arrest or for lack of oversight. So it's very precarious if we don't do our work or we are inept in our work. So let me thank you. We'll then move to our next item. I saw also Honorable Richard Mkungo is also present, our Deputy Minister. You are more than welcome, Honorable DM. I saw you for some time since we started. I just forgot to appreciate you, but you are very much acknowledged to be present in our meeting today. So we have both two Deputy Ministers. I'll hand over to Honorable Retired Major General Olumisa to introduce the second item. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We are going to discuss the Hoefyster project, where we are telling the committee that this project is on course according to Denel and Armscor. But I wouldn't like to waste your time. I would immediately request the representative of Denel to go ahead. So the 10-year timeline attached to this project has enabled us to remain ahead of several technological developments. But you will hear the details. We are now working closely with the CSIR, Denel, and Armscor to ensure that advanced technologies are incorporated into the program. That is positioning South Africa as competitively with the global defense sector. Many members of this portfolio committee, I believe they visited Denel and have seen firsthand the capability that exists within our domestic industry, provided that adequate funding is secured. But I hope also that the Denel will be giving you details on how much have we lost during this period, if any, and whether the money for value as a result of this delay is worth listening to or worth reviewing. Now, without waste of time, I would like to hand over to Denel to make a presentation. Thank you.
Before Denel comes in, can we get an overview from the SecDef? Because we have been with her in this project for a very long time.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, members of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning, Deputy Ministers. Yes, so what we want to present here is exactly like what the DM has indicated, DM Olumisa. We do acknowledge that the project is behind, and the deliverables will obviously be behind. However, after meetings and thinking about it, we want to emphasize that the Army still has a need for this prime mission equipment, and therefore we need to do as much as we can to make sure that we deliver. And that's why now we are working very closely with Armscor and with the CSIR. But we do want to acknowledge that there were challenges from both sides, Denel, the DOD, and Armscor, in terms of deliverables. But we've put in place measures to salvage this project and make sure that it delivers. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, SecDef. Can we get Denel to present? Or I don't know, between Denel and Armscor, who comes first? Can I be clarified? SecDef, who comes first between Denel and Armscor?
It should be Armscor. I did see Armscor on the platform. CEO Mbada, through you, Chair.
Thank you, Sector. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the committee, deputy ministers, colleagues from Armscor, DOD, and Denel. The Chair must be, from the onset, I must indicate that this is a joint presentation from the three parties, which is the DOD, Denel, and Armscor. As the Sector has indicated, Chair, that post the AAC, you'll recall, Chair, we've always been reporting that there was a pending AAC, which is the Acquisition Armaments Council, a meeting where a decision was expected to be taken as to how do we proceed with the project. That meeting did take place, chaired by the Minister, in July this year, and a decision was taken that Denel needs to proceed with the project. This was after we received a submission from the end user indicating that it is still a requirement, albeit the project has been severely delayed, must indicate, Chair. Chair, today what we intend to do, I'm joined in the boardroom by the two program managers who have been working on this project for the last 10 years or so. From Armscor is Mr. Suju, and from Denel is Mr. Chauke. Mr. Suju will be taking us through the presentation. I must, Chair, indicate that and apologize. There are additional slides, which really are explanatory slides to give further detail and meat to the skeleton, to the presentation that we have submitted. We will send those additional slides to the committee as well. Chair, you will know that there is more than 7 billion rand.
Can I first approve those slides? Because I would request that you understand.
Yes.
A parliamentary service, just like any arm of state, whether it's judiciary, whether it's cabinet, we have the same powers. So if there are slides you are bringing in, which were not part of the original presentation, it means I'm misleading Parliament. So I can be held liable or be charged or even be removed as a member of parliament. So I would want us first to agree that those additional slides that you are bringing in now, we will accept them, but next time, don't bring an incomplete presentation which is completed during the meeting. Members must have had an opportunity to read those slides, to go through them, to get even parliamentary legal services where a need arises or advice. So once you bring something like this, it's like you're ambushing us. So we'll have to agree to something we don't know or that we never had a chance to go through it. But we'll allow you for the sake of progress, because this Project Hoefyster, it's an albatross on our neck. We would want it to be done because the country is vulnerable. We are naked. And you as administration, you are not blamed. It's only us politicians who are blamed for all these wrong things. But we can't complain. We can't cry. We must do our work. You'll be allowed to present.
Chair, you're seeing my hand, please.
Okay. All right. Honorable Niels?
Yes, Chair. I understand why you are saying that they should proceed, and I also appreciate the need for urgency on this matter. But this is not the first time that we've had Denel and Armscor ambushing us. You will recall in the past that they have a tendency to send us presentations, and then when we enter the meeting to say to us, there are explanatory slides that have been added. It is unacceptable, Chair. We will allow, or I will agree in terms of the way forward that you propose that we continue, but honestly, this must be the last time that this happens. Armscor must understand, and Denel and the department must understand, that we need to receive these presentations well in advance and that we do not get ambushed with additional information during the presentation. I reserve my right, once I see the slides that they've added, to make up my mind whether this is simply an administrative process that they've not complied with, or whether they are indeed actually trying to smuggle information in and ambush this committee. And if I come to that conclusion, I will certainly then reserve my right to raise an objection again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Hake, I see your hand.
Chair, yes, these things can happen, and you have now ruled that they should proceed. May I request, obviously, this is irregular for us to proceed in this fashion, but may I request that the presentation, as it will be presented now, be immediately now, while we wait, sent to the committee administrator, and she will send it on to us, but that we proceed on that. That will assist us not taking screenshots of the whole thing, because we would not know what is new, what is old. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. No, thank you very much, honorable members. We will now allow the Troika to present to us.
Chairperson, just sorry, can you perhaps rule on that, whether that should be done immediately or not?
Yes, I want to come into that. Can it be done immediately? I think they know the contacts of the Secretariat, Amanda and Dr. Janse Willemse. Willem Janse van Rensburg. Can you forward us those particular additional slides, so that when we adopt this item, we adopt it together with those slides and we can go through them as we are listening to the presentation, the new slides, because like I'm saying, it's a very precarious matter to bring in new information in the occasion of the meeting. We work on 7 days before. Is there any other end, Honorable? Is there any clarity from the Secretariat?
Chair, my apology to raise my hand again.
Okay, you can come in.
Can we also be assured that the presentation that's going to be flighted here live on the screen, in addition to what Mr. Hutton proposed, that now final presentation with additional slides gets sent to all of us. But the presentation that we will see here on the screen is the last presentation that Denel, Armscor, and the DoD is giving us, and when they reach the slides that are additional, that they indicate to us this is now an additional slide that had not been part of the original slide presentation that we sent to you. But the presentation that is flighted on the screen must be the one that they use for the presentation. It can't be the old one, which excludes the slides that they have now added to this process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I'm sure Armscor now understands that we want the latest presentation, but we also want latest slides to be sent to members now or the portfolio committee group so that members can go through those additional slides. This we do for purpose of procedure in case our meeting, our minutes end up in court, in an ad hoc committee, or in a commission of inquiry. We must be clear about what we're doing, because some of these things you are about to present to us involves supply chain management processes, which normally they are under disputes, they are in court. So we need to clear the back of the portfolio committee. So that's what we would request you to comply with, so that we don't end up with a question that we have misled Parliament, because the proceedings of this portfolio committee are the proceedings of Parliament. They are not different by three arms of the state in terms of their powers allocated by the Constitution of the Republic. We are all equal with the same power and authority. And just like we have dealt with the first item, where we do not want to be in contempt with the court order, we can be also in contempt with the legislative arm by bringing a disorganized, disorientated presentation. We must know, once you are before this portfolio committee, you are equally before a court or a cabinet. Thank you very much. You can proceed.
At the top of each slide, whether this slide was included or not, so it will be easier for the members. But we do assure the committee that it is indeed the last time such an occurrence does take place, Chair. We sincerely apologize for that. I'll hand over to Mr. Sunil Suju to take us through the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members of Portfolio Committee, Deputy Ministers, SecDev, and other colleagues in attendance. Can members see the presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Thank you. This is the briefing to the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans on the status of Hoefyster, related expenditure and the way forward. Okay, as part of the scope, I have indicated in brackets on the header of each slide for those that were not part of the original presentation submitted. So the first point is the project milestone documentation and contract status to give an overview. And then the introduction challenges were also added, point number 3. And then the current status, the project expenditure, the way forward was always there. But I've added a few more slides and you will see it when we get to those slides, and the conclusion. In terms of the new slide added, which I've had previously in the March presentation to the Parliament Portfolio Committee and the Joint Standing Committee on Defence, just giving an indication of the development plan when it was signed, which was October 2006, giving authority for Armscor to place an order on Denel in May 2007, and thereafter that the subsequent acquisition plan authorized in February 2023, that gave authorization for Armscor to place an order for phase 2 industrialization production with Denel. So that was one of the slides, and on top, in the header, it indicates not part of the original presentation. Then going to introduction, giving the scope of the contract. There was a requirement for 264 vehicles and a funded option contract of 244 vehicles were contracted with the funding available, with the remaining 20 vehicles to be funded at a later stage. But the requirement remained 264 vehicles, comprising of 5 combat variants, and thereafter the Joint Task Force Group. This was also another slide added in terms of giving history again of the challenges experienced in development and giving rise to why the delays happened in phase 1 development that was supposed to be completed in 2018 as amended, and then the production of phase 2 in November 2023 with the delivery of the last battalion of 88 vehicles. Numerous challenges were experienced, including additional of 175 million contracted requirements that impacted phase 1 development and the start of industrialization, changes in acceptance criteria, industrial risks due to the change in the vehicle platform subcontractor. VR laser was changed during the contract and brought in, and they started the industrialization of the vehicle platforms, but eventually were liquidated. Financial challenges experienced by the main contractor Denel from 2016. And then there were numerous technical complexities and underestimation in contracting, and there were software qualification challenges, and the numerous challenges culminated in extensive retesting and development cycles in order to get the requirement fulfilled. Adding to that, the publications on the turret and platform also was underestimated, and the effort took longer. And then the increased risk of schedule by the introduction of the 4 new variants, which were the Joint Task Force Group, by replacing 3 battalions of 88 vehicles for combat variants, with eventually 2 battalions of 88 vehicles of combat variants and 1 battalion of vehicles for the Joint Task Force Group, consisting of the ambulance, artillery variants, and the signal variants. The third slide added was also on challenges, but pertaining to the client-furnished equipment and deliverables from other projects that were inputs to Project Hoefyster, namely the Project Radiate that created and developed and manufactured and supplied technical command radios for Project Hoefyster, Badger vehicles. Then we had challenges with obsolescence in terms of the building blocks on the Ratel ZT3 system that was an input to the Hoefyster design, and the project team had to deal with that as well. And then the extensive redesign of the vehicle recovery system due to deferment of Project Citizen. In terms of managerial challenges with the IPT, there were misalignments between the project team, and that had to be realigned. There were also high turnover of personnel, increased risk of commencement of production phase before the completion of development, inadequate functioning of project meetings, especially in the last 7 years in the dead period of the project, and the lack of stakeholder oversight during this period. And then Adding to this, there were project activity levels that were reduced in waiting for a decision on the project. Reduced funding on the SCAMP, and then cost escalations in the delay of the projects. Then additional slide, as indicated on the header, the constraints of phase 2 that still exist, the challenges experienced with regard to the project funding of phase 2, reduced Denel capacity capabilities over the years, financial constraints at Denel, the impact of NIP and DIP obligations on the contract, the effects of warranties on stock at hand, and then obsolescence assessments that must now be done that have commenced to determine the obsolescence in the last 7 years due to the debt period. And then the industrialization and production on the replanning of the project, because industrialization and production did start at different levels of the project, but was stopped, and some of those companies were liquidated. Then the risk of...
sorry to interject you. I just wanted to update members that the latest presentation is on the group. I'm following it up from the group. You can follow it up there for additional slides. Thank you. You can proceed.
Okay, then the risks with regard to the bank guarantees expiring, and we'll report on that in the future slides. And then the current acquisition plan not being executable in the current form. And we are busy with finding resolutions to that. But this, in a nutshell, is the challenges currently still experienced in phase 2 that we would need to resolve. Then in terms of phase 1, reporting on the technical aspect of the project that must be delivered in terms of the user requirements. There, like I mentioned, there were 5 combat variants. The lead variant being the section variant, then followed by the fire support, command, missile, and mortar that were being developed in phases and with overlapping of the common system. That is the product system listed on top, and the compliance to that is 80% to the user requirement. The section variant 84.8%, the fire support variant 89.4%, missile variant 95.4%. And the missile variants, which are the last 2 variants lagging behind in the design, 63.2% and 44.5%. With this is coupled with the logistics baseline for each variant, but this is where we are now. In terms of the status of project development, the project is still working towards the product baseline for each of the combat variants. The lead variant, the section variant, has achieved the PBL at Denel Land Systems. Let me state up front, there's a baseline at Denel and there's a baseline at Armscor to confirm and audit the baseline and confirm the baseline. So the section variant activities for the baseline were completed at the end of July 2025 with defined observations and outstanding work to be completed. That gave the authority for us to start the audit at Armscor on the baseline documentation at Denel, and that is estimated to be completed by mid-December. And it must be noted that by achieving these baselines, we are defining what we have achieved and what is still outstanding. So before the section variant or any other variant can go into industrialization and production, there's outstanding work and activities that must be completed. Namely, I've mentioned previously the obsolescence assessment, stock usability assessment, the landmine test, software optimization, and completion of unfinished work, which the team is busy now working in parallel to after declaring the baseline at Denel. And then the fire support variant and the command variant baselines are estimated to be completed at the end of April 2026, and June 2026, respectively. And the 4th and 5th combat variant, being the missile and mortar variant, are estimated to be completed by the end of April 2027 and June 2027. And then the final log baseline with the completion of the last combat variant is estimated to be completed by November 2027. And these are subject to also resolving some of the challenges we have. And the first one being the reallocation of resources, which Denel has started doing over the last 6 months. But there are some challenges, and they're currently using members from other Denel subsidiaries, and they have capacity of system engineers, log engineers, configuration managers, software experts. So they're trying to use what they have between the different Denel subsidiaries. Okay, and then this is an existing slide. The scope, schedule, funding of phase 2, industrialization, production is still under review between Armscor, Denel, and DOD. This is on the status of phase 2. The Armaments Acquisition Council convened on the 10th of July to give guidance to the project. At the AAC, it was confirmed that the requirement still remains for 3 battalions of 88 vehicles. And then also that the team should find solutions to resolve issues and go into phase 2 industrialization production after completion of the different variants on phase 1. Armscor and Denel project members continue to assess the impact of the delays and explore alternative avenues to advance and expedite the project. I will speak later on in the new slides in terms of the activities that we're busy with. Okay, in terms of the expenditure to date, in total, I've broken this up into phase 1, which is defined in row number 3. And out of the total order of 1.779 billion, 1.595 billion has been spent. And this is for the development of phase 1 combat variants. And I've given you the stats in terms of where we are on compliance of the technical specifications in the few slides before this. The amount spent of 1.595 billion includes all costs, the base cost, the VAT, return of ROE, rate of exchange, escalation, and the advance payment. For phase 2, there's a number of orders, including the industrialization production of the combat variants, as well as the new variants, which is a joint task force group, the production of radiate combat technical equipment. That's a input to the projects. And then some work on the missile variant IM, insensitive munitions that must be defined. The total of that is 14.2 billion. Of that, 5.861 billion has been spent. In total, 16.268 billion was contracted between the different orders in the different phases, including the past close orders. And 7.724 billion has been spent. That includes the allocation of the 2 billion advance payment paid on the project, which is normally recovered as Denel submits invoices, and the advance payment is subtracted on each invoice. So included in the 7.7 billion is a 2 billion advance payment, including 3 billion of VAT ROE escalation. In terms of what's available on the DoD financial management system, we have 1.927 billion available, and the deficit on the current contracted order of the existing order is 6.6 billion. And this is funds that have been reduced because of budget cuts. And so this is on the existing order. As we proceed with explorations of avenues to find resolutions for phase 2, we will report on the actual costs that are required and the schedule and the scope. Okay, this is an existing slide on the status of the bank guarantees. Like I said in the previous slide, out of the 7.7 billion spent, 2 billion is the advance payments paid to Denel on different orders and the different bank guarantees covered by different banks. So looking at this, the first one is a net bank guarantee on phase 1 development. Although this expired or lapsed in April 2022, the amount of 46 million that's remaining of the bank guarantee on phase 1 is being recovered as Denel invoices Armscor on work done, and 30% as per contract conditions is being recovered on each invoice to recover the advance payment. Then in terms of the second guarantee there, it's a Denel corporate guarantee of 80,000 rand. It's a Denel corporate guarantee. And the third one is the APSA bank guarantee on phase 2 of 469 million. This bank guarantee was recalled by Armscor before it could lapse. And Armscor was supposed to recall this bank guarantee, otherwise we would have lost the funding, the money. Then the note that money will be, there was a request to reappropriate these funds back to DOD for further utilization on the project. And the FNB bank guarantee on item number 4 of 360 million, Armscor was also forced to call this bank guarantee up before it lapsed. Currently, Armscor and the banks are in discussion, and this is where we are there to recover this money. Item number 5, the escrow account, there's 169 million sitting in an account and available. Item 6 is another Denel corporate guarantee of 504 million. So this is a Denel corporate guarantee. And then item 7 is another guarantee from Guard Risk of 395 million. Guard Risk have extended this bank guarantee this year till the end of February 2026. And then the last bank corporate guarantee on Denel on phase 2 is for 61 million. And that is for phase 2 as well. So in total, there's about 565 million in Denel corporate guarantees, and that we cannot recover because it's not a bank guarantee. In terms of the way forward, on the existing slide, Denel now reporting to the same minister as Armscor, and DOD makes efforts and collaboration much easier, and there's aligned synergy in trying to find solutions. In terms of the problems we experienced, and I've added to the slides, the new slides showing problems with project meetings and management of resources. There's a monthly project steercom between Denel and Armscor that gives oversight into, besides Project Hoefyster, other Denel projects as well. And then there's, after reallocation of project team members, there's regular project meetings and enhanced stakeholder communication. And then the progress reporting between the different reports, quarterly reports, annual reports, reports to the PDSC, that's still in place. And then provisioning of human resources. As I mentioned earlier on, Denel is now trying to use existing resources that have capacity in Denel, other Denel subsidiaries. Although the process of provisioning is a bit slow, but I think this will come to realization in January. The alignment between project team members, there's better alignment with the oversight between the high committees. Adding to this, there's been a ministerial task team convened to explore avenues to advance in the industrialization and production in phase 2. I will speak further about the ministerial task team in the next slides, as well as the activities that we will be busy with. Okay, this is a new slide, and we thought it would be beneficial to give insight to the members of the portfolio committee, know who the task team and what does it comprise of. So it basically comprises of members of Armscor, CSRR, Denel, SANDF, and is supported by the SecDev and the CEOs of Denel and Armscor. There's also a working subcommittee that meets on a weekly basis to coordinate and prioritize activities, which we'll speak about in the next few slides, to give you all a visibility into what we are doing. So after the convening of the AAC and getting guidance from the AAC, there's been meetings between acting defense material, Armscor CEO, Denel Group CEO, as shown in the structure of the task team, giving direction to the rest of the team members on the lower working committees. So the first commitment was that completion of phase 1 is a must, and both teams have aligned themselves to do this. Then both CEOs have committed to formalize a new contracting mechanism or amendments to the existing contract for phase 2. So at the moment, we are busy with exploration and the different avenues that are available to us. The mechanisms will be designed to meet the cost, schedule, performance of the requirements through a structured acquisition and procurement process. That is when the information is known and aligned and agreed upon. The intention is to update the acquisition plan, have it approved, and then Armscor to also align the contract via CVO and have it amended. Then Denel to also investigate potential partnerships and collaboration initiatives with prioritizing local industry participation as part of the future resolution to finding solutions for phase 2. Subsequent to that meeting on the 5th of August, both Armscor CEO and Denel Group CEO signed a memorandum of agreement to engage and facilitate solutions for the project. And this was directed to the lower work groups, and support was given to those teams. Denel has subsequently sent out a request for information to other suppliers, OEMs, original equipment manufacturers of 8x8 vehicle platforms on the 19th of November, with the aim of gathering information on the existing product systems specifications, both locally and internationally, as well as gathering information on the costing of these product systems, and then also to start collaboration efforts and discussions with those industries, with the intention of future alignments. Armscor and Denel are also busy with audits related to the obsolescence assessment and stock usability assessments. In terms of another new slide that was presented as part of the ministerial task team, and this summarizes the priorities of the audits from the 17th November to the 15th of March in terms of the timelines of activities. And this includes the obsolescence audits, the review of the current stock for reuse, the issuing of the RFI, which was sent out on the 19th of November, The closing date of this is the 16th of January. And then in terms of bringing and verifying whether the user requirement statements or the requirements from the SA Army are still valid, the SA Army members that are part of the ministerial task team have taken the URS and the functional user requirement statements back to engage with the SA Army and the infantry formation to confirm that they are happy with the URS or what needs to change to bring it to current day so we can optimize the URS. Then in terms of partnering for the future, the engagements by Denel with both local and foreign entities or companies that respond to the request for information. The intent is that Denel will find partners, both technically to support them at subsystem level in terms of manufacturing and also possible securing of funding. And then the aim is to secure a partner for the platform for localization. So it makes it easier for Denel to move forward and have partners for this. Currently we have the 1.9 billion in the SCAMP, 1.927 billion, and also the recovered advance payments. So that goes to about 2.5 billion. And the aim of the exploration with the ministerial task team and the members comprising of it is to get a solution and then define what money is required in which financial years and define the scope of work with all the improvements that are required to also cater for technology and obsolescence. So this is just an indication of where we are and what our priorities are. In terms of the existing slides, the current focus on the way forward is still on completion of phase 1. And then, like I mentioned earlier, there are some challenges that we are mitigating. And the scope, schedule, and funding of phase 2 is still under review between Armscor, Denel, and DOD. We thought it'll be valuable, not just to say this, but to also show with the additional slides the teams that are involved and the extent of the different parties that are involved, as well as what our priorities are. Hence, we decided to add the additional slides to give you a better visibility. And then, as I mentioned before, we have got 2.5 billion, but we intend to, the aim is to deliver 3 battalions in different tranches as funding becomes available. And that's where we are now. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I think that concludes our presentation, Chair.
Thank you very much. We can now go to honorable members to ask questions on the presentation the joint presentation by Armscor DOD. I saw the hand of Honorable Niehaus. I'll give over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Can we ask the administration to take the slides down? We have them so that we engage properly. Let me thank Armscor, Denel, and the Department of Defense for this presentation. But let me immediately say that I'm not impressed at all. When the new slides were introduced, I came in and said, Chair, that I will express an opinion about these new slides as they are presented to us. It is evident to me that the crux of the matter, the essence of the problems and what has been presented to us are contained in the new slides. Therefore, I cannot come to any other conclusion, Chair, that we have been ambushed here and that we have not been given adequate enough time to consider the implications of especially the challenges that these new slides detail for us. But Chair, what I can say is that I've learned the hard way. When entities such as Denel and Armscor and the Department of Defense tell you about challenges, they actually tell you about disasters. And what is presented to us today again is an ongoing accident and a disaster. We don't even have phase one concluded. And yet we are faced with some very, very serious problems of bank guarantees that have lapsed, massive financial gaps, where the only thing that we are being told is that we are looking for the finances in order to proceed. It doesn't count up as fast as I was trying to take into consideration also these new slides that had been presented to us. So, Chair, I cannot, on behalf of my party, at this stage, under these circumstances, make any proper assessment on whether it is proper and it is adequate for Project Hoefyster to be continued. But what I can say is that I think we should express some very, very serious concerns on whether the decision that the AAC had taken to proceed with this project was indeed the correct one. What we have been presented with here by Armscor and by Denel is for us as a committee to make a leap of faith. A leap of faith that is not presented by the performance up to now, which does not add up in terms of the finances that are required, nor whether the product as it had been developed over these extraordinary long deadlines that have been missed and delays is actually still the adequate product for the Army and in general for the Department of Defense. I'll ask a few questions, Chair, not by saying that I want to engage in any way as saying that it's possible for me on the basis of this information to judge on the viability of this project, because I've got massive question marks. But I can ask from the side of Denel and Armscor about their financial management of public funds. Can they please tell us what is the total value of public funds disbursed to Denel for Project Hoefyster, and give us a detailed breakdown on how does this compare to the total contractual obligations? My assessment from watching this slideshow is that it doesn't count up. What financial oversight controls are in place to monitor Denel's use of advance payments and overall financial conduct on the project? There's been terrible examples of how Denel had been utilizing funds for purposes that it was not originally allocated for. Furthermore, has Denel provided audited financial statements and expenditure reports accounting for the use of the advance payments that they've received and exactly how they've utilized it? And from the department, I must ask, what steps is the department taking to address what is a huge fund deficit existing within Project Hoefyster? And is it even going to be possible to actually address this shortfall and meet delivery schedules? Because every possible delivery schedule had been missed by this project. So we must ask ourselves, how do the delays in the incomplete deliveries under Project Hoefyster affected the SANDF's operational readiness? Obviously very negatively.
Honorable Nels.
But for me, I'm going to conclude, Chair, but for me even more of concern is the issue of obsolescence assessment. I am deeply concerned that Project Hoefyster, as it stands at the moment, is not able to bring on board new technology, is not able to meet the current new technological demands of the South African Army. And therefore, we are throwing money here at a project which, because of the delays and the massive time frame lapses, have become an obsolete project. And now I'm concluding, Chair. It seems to me that Armscor is incapable of learning lessons. This whole Project Hoefyster, from inception to where we are at this current disastrous juncture, is because of failed clear objectives and implementation. But you know, Chair, there's a saying that says, an idiot is one who keeps on repeating the same performance and expect a different outcome. Because as we are dealing today with Project Hoefyster and the disaster that it is, and as it had been presented to us here, just 2 weeks ago, we dealt with another tender that was brought out by Armscor on the personnel armament carrier vehicles for border patrol. And once again, mistakes are being made in terms of how the whole tender process has been approached and implemented. Exactly the same underlying problems that led to this disaster for Project Hoefyster. So I do hope that as we concentrate today on Project Hoefyster and this disaster, Denel has taken note of the concerns that we have expressed about request bid number EWS 2024-71 and the recommendations that there is from the BRRR reports of this committee that we need to have a detailed report from Armscor about how they are actually dealing with that bid, because when I look at it in the context of the history of failure, I'm deeply concerned. And I hope they note that the deadline that we've set for themselves is fast approaching, because that deadline was given to them by the 30th of November. So I'm not prepared to say that this project should be supported from the side of the economic freedom fighters. We have been ambushed once again. The essence of this presentation is contained in the slides that were introduced anew now. And I do not doubt that this was done deliberately and it was done with malicious intent. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Nontenja. Honorable Nontenja.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I would like to know what financial oversight controls are in place to monitor Denel's use of advance payments and overall financial conduct on the project. Has Denel complied with all contractual milestones and deliverables for phase 1 and 2 of this project? If not, which specific milestones remain outstanding? What formal notices of non-performance, delay, or breach have Armscor or the DOD issued to Denel Land System or Denel Dynamics? under the terms of contracts, what remedies or enforcement mechanisms, including penalties or termination rights, are available and which have been exercised to date? Thank you.
Honorable Hatton.
Chair, yeah, my first question would have been, how many times have this portfolio committee been taken down this road in the past with different deadlines and different promises? But I'm not going to ask that. I don't think anybody will be able to answer that. Chair, what we have here is actually a textbook example of how things should not be done, how things can go wrong, and how it just goes on and on and on. I think we should get a truthful version on some of the aspects, some of which was mentioned by Honourable Nias. Let me start off by saying, how is it expected that this portfolio committee and Parliament should now believe the deadlines that are now being given that not a single deadline in the past that were promised to this committee, I suppose also to the Department of Defence, was ever met? We look at just look at where we are. Phase 1. There's most probably a 14 to 20 year delay on the implementation. That is on all the baselines. The first vehicle deliveries from May 2019, it's still unfunded and it's not scheduled, but we're talking about a 6+ years delay. Section variant, the same thing. The mortar and the missile variants, most probably not even longer. We don't know. So, Chair, my question is, we need realistic deadlines and the exact reasons for the failure on actually achieving any deadline, any deadline in the past. And then also obsolescence. How relevant with new technology available, and also after the war in Ukraine, where things are moving rapidly ahead. How relevant is the technology that we have in this project still to the current situation? Then I think we also need, in a nutshell, how much money was actually lost, forfeited, paid in penalties, how much was recovered? The whole financial mess that we find ourselves in, South Africa finds itself in with this massively mismanaged project, where I think every possible finance management rule and regulation law that could be transgressed was transgressed. Yes, can we get that in a nutshell, an explanation of this? And then finally, Chair, I hate to say it, but I cannot, with the history, and the history supports me, cannot trust and believe any deadline that was given here. I don't know whether we should get an objective outsider to come in and to analyze everything that's going on here, and also then determine whether we should not simply move on and regard this as a total loss because of non-delivery, not meeting deadlines, ballooning of costs, unfunded promises that's being made here. So, Chair, I'm totally at loss. I really do not have trust in the presentation that was given to us here. There's no history for us to believe any of this and to to work on this for the future. It sounds rather despondent, but I think the whole situation has become exactly that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Harden. Can we get Honorable Blackis?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me first start with appreciating the presentation. At least finally, it seems like there's movement from the Denel, Armscor, and also with the Department of Defense. Chair, mine is just, I'm still having, and I don't get clarity on the issue of Denel, the capacity of Denel itself to deliver this project. What mitigating processes is there in place to make sure that they are really going to keep to the time frame, the timelines, and all that I've said? Will that interministerial committee, will that be the basis of doing the monitoring and evaluation on the project progress, or what else is there? Also on the current doors, Chair, outside of what Denel is already showing that it is a big problem with current doors from the banks. What immediate interventions will be happening there around that issue? And then also, I think the time frames have been put, but also I don't think it is really realistic time frames. But those are the main issues that I'm worried about, Chair. The capacity of Denel, and also the current was the checks that the banks already are having a problem with certain banks. What is going to be intervention and mitigation process around that ones for the turnaround? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. From my side, I just want to run a 2-minute lecture. That Denel, Armscor, and DOD needs to appreciate that we deal with national security. Now, in national security, there is no ineptness or timidity that is allowed. That's why in self-respecting nation, if you are at the opposition and you behave the way you behave, they call it treason. You get arrested, or you even face a firing squad and be killed. Simple as that. Because you are making the country vulnerable by your timidity, by not delivering commitments you have made. Because a war does not have an invitation letter. South Africa can be attacked tomorrow. And as a result of your ineptness for the past 20 years, we would be unable to can defend our territorial integrity and sovereignty. The criminal element is taking over our nation. We even have commission of inquiries on television dealing with how criminal elements are undermining our sovereignty. Yet there's a budget allocation. Yet there are projects implemented for defense and security, but they don't get off the ground. So you must be careful that you are not either on the border of sabotage, or you are not either on the border of sovereignty. As this portfolio committee, I don't like commission of inquiries and other committees. We have full responsibility as this committee. If we see you go in the direction that is wrong, to go to the nearest police station and open a docket against you of sabotage and treason. Because what you are doing, it's a complete sabotage. You are making the country vulnerable. And I would request that before I allow Denel and Armscor to come in, to allow Honorable DM Holomisa, because at least he's experienced. He's not a civilian. He's a retired Major General, a member of the National Defense Force also, who can get a call up in case of war. Just to tell us out of his own experience, what does this mean? We were told about free
with financial criminal syndicates, and also the
Hello? What is happening? Okay, there was somebody. Can we switch off the mic of that person, the secretariat, or even check him out of the meeting? This is a parliamentary sitting. It's a serious sitting. It's not a child's play here, because we maybe end up some of us arrested for lack of oversight when the country gets attacked. I would want the TM to come in and explain and take a commitment on behalf of this DOD, Armscor and Denel in terms of their deadline, and commit that these things will be done, because we are on the border of treason and sabotage to our nation. It's very unpatriotic what we're doing out of individual criminal greed element that disrupts supply chains and disrupt processes. And every time you get to a wedding or a gala dinner or a funeral, we get to be blamed for all these things. And yet we are not in charge of big committees. We are not in charge of supply chain. People who are in charge, they come here every time and bring us deadlines after deadline. But there's nothing. Last year, May, we're told that we'll have frigates in the Navy. We'll have retrofitted 3 submarines. Until now, all those deadlines have not been met. Hoefyster was for 5 years or 6 years. It's now only its 20th year. And we must understand it's not possible. I can't understand when I'm unpatriotic, when I'm sabotaging my country, when I'm in the border of treason. Let me hand over to you, Honorable Holomisa, for you to introduce your team to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. What a task you are giving it to me, given that both the committee and the executive in this of defense have inherited the problems associated with this project. That's a fact. We fully acknowledge the financial losses associated with this project because of these delays. Equally, we must appreciate that this 7th administration has committed itself to inclusive growth, industrialization, and strengthening local manufacturing. The growth and stability of Denel are therefore not only essential for the Department of Defense, they are central to our national industrial strategy, our economic aspirations, and our sovereignty. Denel can and should be a foundational pillar of the vision this administration has set for South Africa. Now, honorable members, what is required at this stage is focused and dedicated funding to restore momentum. The broader strategic picture is compelling, and the presenters today will take the committee, as they've done already, through the details, in particular, the gaps which have been identified by the honorable members. And that would mean we may have to come back again, but will be advised by the committee with all those details submitted in time but in particular, assuring the members of parliament about the identified or suggested deadlines as to whether indeed we will meet this. But let us not fool ourselves, all of us. The Department of Defense has been defunded for quite some time, while on the ground the troops want proper equipment. So this thing is going to need a collective approach, especially when we talk about guarantees and any additional funds. So I hope that the members of parliament, once they are answered on those questions they have raised, and in particular the issues related to further delays in technology, if they can be satisfied on that, we should be marching forward, all of us together, to deliver this project. Thanks to this administration, 7th administration, including the portfolio committee members who are new in this portfolio, who have committed themselves and also go to the extent of getting more information on this project to make sure that at the end of the day, this project is finalized. It would be not in the interest of the troops who were promised this equipment. And then you just throw 7 billion, 7 point something billion out there and then not delivering. Fortunately, some of these vehicles are already in use in the Defense Force. So with those remarks, Chairperson, I hope I've tried to answer your question. The main one is to let us listen to what the MPs have asked us to do and fill those gaps and then bring it back to the members of parliament. But we're running against time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me allow the team to answer questions, particularly questions that ask about commitments, deadlines, and everything. The committee, Honorable Hoefyster, one of the problems they found to be problematic over the period of years is not only the matter of underfunding of the department, it's a matter of discipline, including cost-benefit analysis in terms of usage of the taxpayers' money, including the fact of looking at what is a need and what is a requirement in terms of financial expenditure and generally discipline that all of us who are decision makers in this particular sector makes the whole country vulnerable, either out of our individual insecurities or infidelities, which poses a threat. And that has nothing to do with funding or underfunding. It has to do with discipline. I mean, even your M23 rebels, a gangster can take us on, because a decline is not only in terms of underfunding, the decline is also in terms of discipline, because Honorable Hoefyster, our department is the biggest irregular, wasteful expenditure department to the tune of 16 billion, which makes us the highest ever department in the government thing. You go and meet with Zibi. Zibi says, no, you can't want to increase the defense allocation when they can account for the small thing. You go to Musimai appropriation, SCOPA. That's the argument they have trying to treasury against us. So we would request humbly so as the portfolio committee, despite all the challenges you claim, we can't shout at the problem. We must find a solution. We are a defense force. A defense force is the Second Republic that must defend the First Republic. And we must have a plan. And And that plan must be in line with your deadlines, I agree. But in this Project Hoefyster, it's not a problem of underfunding. It's a problem of ill discipline in terms of the usage of the public funds. And it must be understood as such. It's unlike where you are told soldiers don't have uniform, boots, and other things. Here, money was allocated, it was mismanaged, or it was misappropriated. And it's a problem that we need to get out of it without a commission or an investigation or a docket. We must find a solution ourselves. So I'll hand over to you just to, in summary, give members confidence that you are able, you are capable, and you have the relevant skill and talent to can salvage the nation out of its problems. I thank you. Let me give over to you, the team.
The CEO, are you there of Armscor?
Oh, I was on mute. Chair.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Chair.
Please, can you respond to the issues which were raised and concerned by the honourable members of Parliament?
Chair.
Thank you.
Sorry. Chair, I will we've categorized the questions because some of the questions were raised. Similar questions were raised by the members. There are questions around financial management. Obviously, from my side, I will speak on behalf of Armscor. I will request Mr. Monahan to respond to those for Denel. The issues of capacity between Mr. Monahan and Mr. Chauke of capacity of Denel, they will respond to those. And of course, Chair, there are issues of obsolescence. The project managers will respond because the reason why we do the RFI is precisely for that reason, that other nations have moved on or technology has moved on. So let's get inputs that will then infuse into the URS for the Army and assist the Army to be able to establish the baseline. I will ask the CFO and Mr. Suju from Armscor to respond on those questions, and then followed by Mr. Chauke and Mr. Monahan. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair, DM, other members of the platform, and members of the Portfolio Committee. Just to respond on the financial control, in terms of the advance payment that we issued to Denel, that was initially issued into an escrow account that was also co-managed by Armscor itself. However, there was an agreement to indicate that in the event that Denel can give us a bank guarantee, we will then release some of the funds. That funds they wanted to use for the procurement of work packages, hulls, all of those type of things to get the project to start. So over those direct funds, we did not have a direct control. There was a big portion that was released to APSA, and APSA had the agreement that all money that we paid for Hoefyster must go into that account, and they then control that the amount is actually, or the releases from that account was actually issued for Hoefyster related activities. So there was a control over that portion. In terms of the other bank guarantees, I think there was no control directly from ourselves, but I mean, that was used within the business. And I mean, the understanding was also that it's used directly for Hoefyster, and it's been audited, and it's done in that manner. I think that was the control. There's still an amount in the project on the escrow account that was not released, and that is also still directly under our control. So that 169 million sitting there is still available for the project itself. Just in terms of the utilization, I think a lot of money was used for Hoefyster, but I mean, the problem was that it was also released for activities that's currently a part of the investigation of the Zondo Commission regarding BR Laser, which manufactured the hulls, but Denel utilized them at a higher cost instead of using their own facilities to do that. So it was used for Hoefyster, but just I don't think in the correct manner in that sense. I think that is the issue about the advance payments. We also at some stage released, based on financial position of Denel, then released an amount on a corporate guarantee for utilization to assist Denel also to not to have paying for guarantee issuing costs at that stage. So that was what that we've done in terms of the control over the funds itself. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Deputy Ministers, Honorable members of the committee and colleagues. Chair, I'll attempt to answer some of the questions, and then my colleagues, they will give details in terms of if there's any of the questions that I wouldn't have covered. Chair, firstly, I would like to acknowledge the wrongs of the past in executing this program. These wrongs impacted the army and the country negatively. The program was paused, I think, around 2016, and this financial year we got together and said this cannot be. The army requires this capability, and it should be delivered to the army. And we got together to say, jointly, we are going to correct these wrongs, and we are going to deliver Hoefyster. I know that it's difficult to believe that it's going to happen because of many years of non-delivery. But we are jointly now, Denel, Armscor, DOD, supported by CSIR in our review of the program, that we have to ensure that we deliver this program. That's our commitment. And if I can go to the questions, I'll talk to oversight in terms of the advance payments. There was not strict oversight on the Denel side in terms of managing the prepayments, because prepayment is mainly for the execution of the program, but prepayments were used in other areas. But going forward, what we have implemented now is any program that we have, the prepayments are ring-fenced and cannot be touched for anything else other than the program itself. And the question from Honorable Niehaus was, the other one was the provision of audited financial statements. We are having an AGM tomorrow, and we will be presenting audited financial statements for the past 5 years. So it is a milestone for us, and it's a journey of correcting and rebuilding of Denel. That Denel, we should do the right thing and be compliant at all times. And the other question from Honorable Harting, I think it's more about whether we can be trusted. As I said earlier, that we are committed as a joint team that we are going to deliver on Hoefyster. And we'll talk about obsolescence when my colleagues come in. We talk about capacity to execute. We talk about resources in terms of funding, so that we can deliver on this on the program. And the question was whether the technology is still relevant. We are doing that study, and it's led by the user to look at whether the technology, because a lot of things have changed since then, and that will be an input to the new contract for phase 2 for the production and industrialization. If there are new technologies that we have to implement, that will make the equipment more modern. Those will be considered. And the losses, there have been some losses in the program, but I don't have a figure with me now. but that can be made available. Honorable Plakis wanted to know about the capacity to deliver on the program. We are working on that capacity. Mr. Chauke will come in and talk to us. We are planning for phase 2 already, whilst we complete phase 1. And the guarantees, I think the question was more around how are we going to manage with the guarantees being recalled and then the banks not sometimes being reluctant to support us. So what we are doing now, we are funding the program from operations, which is a strain to Denel, because some of the banks, we have decided we are going to not go with the guarantees because for these years, the only winner is the banks. Denel hasn't won. SNDF didn't win because the SNDF doesn't have equipment. Armscor didn't win. But the banks have been able to make money. So we are saying we are going to pay off whatever is owed to the banks from the money, the little money we make from operations, so that we are out of this difficult position. And Chair, you did mention that this is treason, and this could be looked at as treason or sabotage to state. For us to be able to correct this is for us to deliver on Hoefyster, and this is the commitment that the colleagues who are working on this program now, that is Denel, Armscor, DOD, and CSIR support, are committed to deliver on this program. Thank you, Chair. I think my colleagues can come in to add.
Members of the Portfolio Committee, colleagues, we just want to clarify regarding the capacity to deliver. The approach that has been taken was that we're not only going to be looking at internally within Denel Landward or Denel Land Systems, but we're going to look at the whole of Denel in terms of capabilities. Firstly, from a mechanical software and also the logistic environment, where we know that there is capabilities where, for instance, at aerospace, the logistic environment is way ahead, and there is capabilities that can provide support to Denel Landward for the ability to deliver. Over and above that, the collaboration with Denel ISS in terms of the software part is what has been explored. As we continue with the avenues regarding the capability to deliver, the support that we are receiving from CSIR has become very important because they also do have capabilities that are also relevant in our space, especially in the software environment, where they have various capabilities. And some of the employees that have been working previously at both Denel and Armscor are also part of CSIR with the knowledge in the Project Hoefyster. So these collaborative efforts enable us to be able to move forward. But over and above that, the capability of CSIR also acts in terms of the alignment between the project teams, which has become important, where if there is a specialist at CSIR, they are being brought onto the project to provide the type of support. So we do believe that from a capability to deliver both from phase 1 as well as phase 2, including the ramp up that will be required, because we will not ramp up until certain milestones are met. We will be able to deliver on the project. Over and above that, we have talked about the obsolescence, which are studies that is done multifaceted from industry, Denel, as well as CSIR. So we believe that this prompt approach that also includes the user will enable us to move forward regarding the capability to deliver. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. It's Sunil Suju from Armscor. In terms of the total value paid to Denel out of the 7.7 billion, I will approximate now that 5.2 billion has been paid to Denel, including the 2 billion advance payment. And the remainder has been paid to other contractors like Patria. And there was a large component of that because of the rate of exchange and Reutech Communications, as well as RDM. So the estimate right now is about 5.2 million in terms of what was paid to Denel, which includes the 2 billion advance payment. We will separate the payments to the different contractors, and we can give you a better estimate at another appropriate time. Then, in terms of why are we here? Over the years, part of the challenges were the underestimation of the development efforts that required many extra development cycles to conform to requirements. And then part of it also was the financial issues that Denel had in terms of constraints from 2016 up until 2018. And that was also the time when certain guarantees that were sitting in escrow were converted and bank guarantees were given so that Denel could also proceed and be liquid to attend to operational expenses. Then in saying that in 2018, this problem at Denel in terms of the challenges they had was discussed between Armscor, Denel, and the DoD, including the DoD forums, where decisions were taken in 2019. It was presented to the Project Control Board in January 2019, the AACB, April to June, and the AASP, the Steering Committee, in August 2019. And the decision there was to defer and cancel because of the problems that we had and to reduce the amount of frivolous expenditure. And the next committee that was to make a decision and the final approval, it was the Armaments Acquisition Council. During the period of August 2019 to, call it the dead years or the slow-go years of 2020 to 2025, there were a number of interventions between Armscor, Denel, DoD, and try to get this project going again, and also to define what's required. And hence we have had two project control boards in 2023, one in 2023, where we informed the user via the project control board for the challenges. And there it was mentioned with the money that you have available, which was 1.9 billion plus the advance payment owing, which was almost 2 billion. The project should go away and check if 1 battalion of 88 vehicles could be delivered. Denel subsequently went away and they did readjustments, and the initial quotation was much more than what we had. And then in 2024, the Project Control Board was convened to report on what was the estimated cost to deliver 1 battalion. And that was of 88 vehicles versus 244 vehicles. And the cost increased dramatically because of the scales of economy or the reduced scales of economy, and then also the fact that the costing was for Patria to build the balance of the vehicles overseas, which was also an increased cost. It was recommended by the PCB in 2024, and the subsequent AACB, the Armaments Acquisition Control Board, and then the Armaments Acquisition Steering Board in 2025, that the project be deferred. Upon convening the Armaments Acquisition Council, guidance was given to go and find solutions. And now that Denel is also reporting to the MOD, it became easier to convene and to engage each other with the guidance given at the AAC in July 2025 this year. And the extra slides that we have given today was just to give an oversight in terms of what activities are being prioritized in terms of the obsolescence, the stock assessments, the request for information from other suppliers on current day 8x8 vehicles, the review of the user requirements, and also looking at technology and performance upgrades from the information that we will gather from the request for information from industry. In terms of, that was how did we get to the AAC. In terms of priorities, I've just mentioned it now, all that information that we're busy with now, with those activities will be put into a model, and we will make an informed decision in terms of where we're going with this and the dates. So in terms of phase 2, we are not in a position to give any dates on phase 2 until this analysis and all the information that we requested via the RFI and the audits are back on the table. In terms of reporting additional to why we were here and the constraints that led up from 2016 to 2019, the Zondo report also specifies the challenges that Denel had. The SIU report of January this year also specifies challenges that were held and how money was spent. And then the Auditor General report also of this year, okay, and their audit also spells out the challenges that occurred over the years. And so that's just giving a history of where we come from and where we reported the decisions taken. And so it was not then that we said, okay, listen, phase 2 must go on from 2019. There were deliberations between Armscor, DOD, and Denel. So in saying that, we now targeting November till March to gather all this information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. That is our response. We will get guidance. Thank you.
No problem. I think.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay,
I'd like to ask a question.
All right, no problem. Honorable DM, you can come
in. I would like to ask a question to the Armscor and Denel, in particular to Armscor. You will recall that at one stage this country had austerity measures introduced, and that had affected the delivery of many projects. As far as Department of Defense, did the National Treasury at any stage give a Defense DOD money to effect this project? And where I'm curious is whether the Department of Defense then did transfer the money to yourselves as Armscor to purchase for this, to implement this project, or that the Department of Defense, because of austerity measures, they diverted that fund to other projects of the Department of Defense or needs. And any possible answer to that question? Armscor, please. No, they didn't hear me.
Did get a question here. Sorry about that. From our side, I think I will request Mr. Abodzi maybe to assist us in responding to the DM's question, the DOD CFO.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. Chair, may I respond?
Yes, permission granted, no problem.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable DM, the initial 14 billion that was made available, there were budgets in the past that were given to us by National Treasury on a yearly basis through the scam. So we have always in the past received money for the acquisition of capital projects. So when the 14 billion initial cost of Project Hoefyster was started, there was a budget for it. But I'm sure the members of the portfolio committee will note the National Treasury also concurred that in 2017, when the budget cuts started, we were one of those that received the biggest cuts. So there was a cut of approximately 5 billion per year from 2017. So when that happened, the money then, unfortunately, was taken out of Project Hoefyster because all the projects of the Department of Defense are under the SCAMP, that is Strategic Acquisition Program. So when the 5 billion was cut from then on a yearly basis, it affected Project Hoefyster because by then the project was not moving. So the only place to cut when the 5 billion was implemented, the 5 billion cut was implemented by National Treasury was on Project Hoefyster because it was shifted to the right. So that was where it came from. So we did not necessarily receive specific funding from National Treasury for Project Hoefyster, but it was 5 billion that was allocated to to the Department of Defense on a yearly basis for acquisition of capital assets. So when a cut was implemented, that's where the cut came from. Thank you, DM. I hope it answers you and the members.
Thank you, Chair. I'm answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the DM, and thank you very much, the team. I think let's work on what members raised. I agree that underfunding may have affected us, but we must also agree that there was no financial discipline before because the project ran from 2006 and serious cuts were experienced in 2017. So you can count that period and why within that period was the project not completed. Did we have project management capability? Did we have the necessary capacity and skills to have completed the project? Because from 2006 to 2017, this project should have been completed when the days or the sun was on our side. So I agree that the cuts have affected us. The second point, it's in relation to financial discipline again. We are the biggest irregular, wasteful expenditure department of all government departments. So we lower our voices when we meet with Treasury, it lower our voices when we meet with SCOPA, it lower our voices when we meet with appropriations, because that's what they advanced, including the fact that there are material irregularities and board of inquiry, all of them related to ill discipline that we're not dealing with. I mean, we have more than 485 queries as this department from the AG's management letter. So those are things we need to deal with so that we get to a proper point, so that everybody can believe us, despite the challenges we're facing. I agree, underfunding is there, but general ill discipline, financially, by conduct and everywhere. I mean, there was a discussion the last time on Radio 2000 of some soldiers drinking in uniform in Pretoria who were noticed by the public, and the public became concerned. They phoned Radio 2000. So these are some of the small things, except the general problem of underfunding we have, that we can deal with and build confidence, including the fact that we had problems in the DRC and everybody said, hey, how possible? But we know we're underfunded, we're under-equipped, and such disasters or setbacks can happen. But with request, where there's an input, can there be an output? Where there's a cause, can there be an effect? So that we can have trust amongst each other, because the tone that members used of mistrust on some of the programs, it's a problem. I made it very simple that it borders on treason and it borders on sabotage. And it does not only end up with us here. It goes even as far as Treasury, because we're the only nation where we make wrong policy choices, where we forget that defense and security is one of the
of the key ingredient of statecraft. You must feed your people, you must develop your people, and you must defend your people. 3 things that a state can lose legitimacy if it does not do correctly. Those are the 3 ingredients. And we are in charge of national security, which is defense. For the country to lose its sovereignty, credibility, reputation, or for any state governance to be undermined by its people, you must do what we did, underfunding of the defense, which is one of the key reasons why state exists, or one of the key ingredients why a state is legitimate. We made that mistake, and I don't think we need to shout at the problem all the time. We must now find solutions and build a future, because in any principle of jurisprudence, you are a success entitled. So you can't say, because I was born out of parents who are poor, I must commit suicide, and nothing must happen. So we must find a way to progress, even though we were born out of parents who were poor. Can we rise and change our societal mobility to a better trajectory and a better direction, so that we can see tomorrow with proper companies, because the state suffered as a result of incompetent CEOs, incompetent boards in some of our SOEs. Money had to be taken from defense to build them out, which was a wrong policy choice. But it's a discussion for another day. I still want to debate with many of us on that thing. Also debate with many of us on management letters of the Department of Defense, including its subsidiary companies, so that we can say rent for rent, cent for cent. You made a mistake here, you made a mistake here, acknowledge here, acknowledge there, so that we can improve. But shouting at a problem without a solution, it will not help us. And behaving like a crying baby, that parents were poor, therefore I must commit suicide because I don't have a future, is not an option that is done in any society. We must find a way to get out of this quagmire, and the sooner we do it, the better for all of us. Let me thank you on behalf of the portfolio committee.
Chairperson.
Okay, Honorable Latte.
I don't think you've seen my hand. Chair,
okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation that we've received, and also for the explanations and the assurances that we get. We've got nothing else but to move forward on what we have. But Chair, may I ask that we perhaps get quarterly reports? We know the challenges. We know the challenges of underfunding and also other challenges that we've seen evidence over so many years. May I request that we receive progress reports, quarterly progress reports on Hoefyster, focusing on the deadlines that were put to us, and that obviously our Secretariat manages that. I would formally propose that. Then, secondly, Chair, we've learned about responsibility, etc., and sound financial management. I just would like to put the question here because I won't have another opportunity. I believe that there's another senior delegation of Armscor on its way now or soon to Cuba. I would like to know whether that has got anything to do with its core mandate of acquire, maintenance, and manage defense equipment and material. Why is it this Armscor delegation going to Cuba? Who is it? What's the cost? And what benefits will there be for Armscor and for South Africa for this another foreign visit? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Niehaus. I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you, Chair. In line also with what Mr. Hutton requested in terms of regular reporting, I would like to get in writing a response from Armscor about whether the Project Hoefyster contracting process has throughout complied with the Public Finance Management Act. And then also this response must include requirements for value money and effective risk management. They must give us a report on whether this has been the case. Why do I ask this? Because the question that Deputy Minister Major General retired Bantu Holomisa asked about funding coming from the Department of Defense raises for me a question in terms of whether the funding as it had been allocated to Denel was actually used for what the Department of Defense understood the money was going for by Denel. So was the utilization of funds in line with the required intention of those funds? And I think assessing it through the PFMA will help us to deal with this. If this has not been the case, and this is the further report that we need, have there been any instances identified where officials failed to exercise adequate oversight? And under those circumstances, what accountability measures have been taken by Denel, by Armscor, by the Department of Defense to deal with this issue and to comply with the PFMA? And then lastly, in terms of reporting, Chair, I think we need a detailed report on the issue of obsolescence assessment. I'm deeply concerned that when the various members of Denel present to us today and say we must proceed with Project Hoefyster, my concern is it about their own personal self-interests and those who have been involved in this project over a period of time, therefore the projection of their jobs? Or is it really that this project can continue to serve in the needs of the South African National Defence Force and specifically of the Army? And that obsolescence assessment, which I hope we can receive in writing, will assist to be able to understand this, because self-interest in terms of maintaining and continuing with Project Hoefyster is not the same as Project Hoefyster being in the interest and in the ability of continuing to serve the needs, so many years later, of the South African National Defence Force. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mantenja. I saw your hand.
Thank you, Chair. I put up my hand to second what Honourable Herting was saying, quarterly report on this project, in order to enable the committee to exercise its oversight on this project that has taken so many years. Otherwise, this administration will go and the next one will come and go without this project being realized. So we have to really focus on it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Let me just, before I conclude our engagement with Armscor and Denel, there was a question from Honourable Herting on the delegation of Armscor. Let me allow you to answer on those trips and other things before I summarize. Over to you.
Chair, that there is a delegation from the DOD that is going to Cuba. I think that relates to the relationship and the graduations that are taking place. From our side, Chair, we had thus far not having any plans to go to Cuba. But I will also verify if there are latest developments in that regard. Because normally we will be invited by the department to either accompany the delegation. But so far I have not received any invite from my office regarding Cuba. But I think it's fair to say we will verify, and then we can get back to the committee by latest tomorrow. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other submission from Armscor before I come in? Oh, no, in case there's nothing, there's no problem. The reason why this portfolio committee were hard on you in many countries, this committee is referred to as the war cabinet of any democratic state. Now, a state of readiness or combat readiness, generals are correct to shout at us. It's us here as this committee who must ensure that they are properly uniformed, they are properly equipped, they are properly having even financial and resources to can wage a war or defend the country. So this committee is referred to as a war cabinet. Your points have been taken in terms of underfunding. We are dealing with Treasury in that regard. There is progress that we are making. The only thing that is left is from the executive to implement their cabinet note in terms of increasing our allocation from 0.7% to 1.5%, which if you equate it to the current GDP, it would be estimated at over 240 billion rand. That would be enough allocation for the National Defence Force who can meet most of its capabilities. But so far, it's still a pipe dream. I don't want to say it will happen tomorrow when. We thought in the current budget midterm, something would happen. Only a top-up of 2 billion was received. So we are still far from reaching 1.5%, which a cabinet note promised to us. But we'll treat it as work in progress. We won't shout at the problem. We still have to find solutions so that everybody who lives in the country can live in peace and stability. So that's what we are pursuing for now, but would also request that you also bring your side to the party. I don't think, I agree that underfunding affected us, but when it was green, many projects were incomplete in this department. And even if you look at our regular and fruitless expenditure, it amounts to between 10 and 15 years. And at that time, there was no underfunding. It's just that there was a general financial discipline that happened. And we also need to talk to it if we are to deal with underfunding. Financial discipline vis-a-vis underfunding, it creates an impression that we're just on a wasteful path. And I don't think that's our impression that would want to create. But with due respect and with cooperation, and I'm happy that the Honorable DM Holomisa and Honorable Nkungu are here. They will commit to ensure that they monitor all these financial discipline measures we say we'll undertake and all the deadlines we say we'll commit to. Agree also that we will get a quarterly report from yourself in relation to Project Hoefyster. We want, when we rise as this portfolio committee in this term, this project must be done and dusted so that there is predictability and certainty. Currently, there is no certainty. If the country can be attacked, we won't blame somebody who was in charge of Project Hoefyster when it started in 2006. We are the ones to be blamed, the current one, because we are a successor entitled. So there is no way that we can disown the mistake that was done by our parents or our predecessors. We must own up and turn things around. That's what we expect. But let me say on behalf of the committee, thank you very much for the update. Thank you very much for appearing before the portfolio committee. We hope and trust that the deadlines we have committed will be implemented. And in the first quarter, we expect first quarter to be the March next year. We would expect a full report related to Project Hoefyster. So Secretariat, note March next year, or that period, as the first period where we're supposed to get progress report related to Project Hoefyster. You need to know your ineptness and timidity. It's treason, it's sabotage to the system, and it's making the whole nation vulnerable. South Africans live in fear. If you don't have private security or you don't live in a gated community or in an estate, you have to pay some mafia in COVID and sanitize squatter camps here in Cape Town. But we have a National Defence Force we pay tax to. We have the police we pay tax to. We have the intelligence we pay tax to. We are double dipping residents and citizens to pay other mafias on the streets when we are there. It's just quite unfair, but normally we like playing victim. When people need to do their work, they play victim, there's a story. But it's a matter we can discuss in the next session. Can everybody go out and do their work? Let's meet in March and tell each other how far we've Project Hoefyster. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. We will now deal with in-committee matters as the portfolio committee. The minutes, Secretariat. Honorable members, before us is the minutes of the portfolio committee of the 19th of November at S35 HCOP building. Is there any corrections on page 1? I'll deal with corrections and matters arising at the same time so that we allow members to save time and do other business of the day. Anything on page 2 and 3? Page 4 and 5? Any corrections or matters arising? Anything on the last page? Thank you very much. Can we get a mover and a seconder?
Also move, Chair. I'll second that.
Okay. There's a mover and a seconder.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, honorable members. We will get an update, but from my side, I need to update you because I still have to write another letter. I met with the chair of chairs on our overseas trip yesterday. Yesterday, 12 o'clock. He advised that our delegation as a joint standing committee is too big. It's about 24 members. So he said he advised that we look at splitting our trips. Have one trip this financial year before end of March to Malaysia with 12 members and support staff and work on the second trip, which can go elsewhere. Then researchers, Dr. Steenkamp and Dr. Jansen van Rensburg would advise in terms of the work and research they've done, which was the other country we can use in the list of 8 countries we initially shortlisted. So that would be the way forward. I need to write to him to say that we agree to split into 2. And then we'll get, I'm sure, from members who would be interested to go to Malaysia and who may be interested to go elsewhere, so that when I draft my letter, I also include names on the list. So that's what I thought I must just report. I know it's not an agenda item, but it's work in progress that we were given as the office by the committee to do.
Chair.
Honorable Plugis?
Yes. Can we maybe get a second, because there was a second country. Can we agree on the second country? That will make our lives much easier on who wants to go where. Because there was agreement on 2 countries, and there was supposed to be a look in, but Malaysia was the number 1 country. Then the others that were proposing, like, let me just go, Honorable Kalnias was proposing, I think, Argentina. So then maybe that will be the next one and will be easily able to spread ourselves in that format.
No problem. Let's work with the research unit and the content advisors. We'll talk to you in the group. Then you'll choose a country you prefer. But I'm not sure Argentina is still a country. I mean, just like the US, they boycotted coming to the G20. Yeah? So I'm not sure whether can we still call ourselves an ally of such characters. But let the content...
I will just make an example, Chair.
All right, let the content advisors and the researchers help us in that regard. We'll talk in the group. Then you'll choose your country of destination for the study tours and the comparative studies that we want to do in terms of the budget allocation, because the story of the budget is becoming a big thing now. Underfunding is even blamed for ill discipline, but we'll discuss it one day, what is ill discipline and what is underfunding. Let me take this opportunity, members, to thank you very much for your attendance and your contribution. The meeting stands adjourned. Tot ziens.
Thank you, Chair. Have a good day as well. Bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Hayi, kulungile siyezwa wemfuka Dakota.
Mfuka Lugwete, mfuka Shelembe. Inkosi yabaKhalaka, uLugwete.
Ya ndateshela ke morena wa seshaba ndateshelembe.
Ai ja mo leboela moruti wa rona le moprofeta modimo a khotsa wa etsa ntle ntata o lokisa o thobe maikutlo. Ha ona le mathata a tsamaya.
Ha kuna mathata.